Hey guys, we're here back today going on our aRacer series, and today we're going to be doing the install on the RC Mini5 and the AF1. We're going to be installing this on a Grom, but it's pretty much the same on every, like the R3, the KTM, the Z125. Fundamentally, you're just pulling out the stock ECU, swapping it out with this, plugging the AF1 into your exhaust, and then running the app. So we're going to go through step by step, show you everything. Right now we're showing you what comes in the box. This is the aRacer Mini5. That's what comes in it. The ECU and the Blink Bluetooth module that plugs into there. And then this, of course, is the 4-to-1 splitter, so that you can plug other accessories into this besides the Blink. So basically that would go in there. The Blink goes into here, and then the AF1 also goes in there, and you can run, obviously you have 2 more ports left for other stuff. So you got that, you got this, and then the AF1. It looks like a lot of wiring, but basically, I mean, it's all just plug and play. Everything just goes right into only one plug, so we'll go through it all, but it's not very hard. You're basically just going to install that in your exhaust. You're going to mount that somewhere on the bike. You're going to run the cable to the O2 sensor, into that, and then tap that into your battery. So, and then obviously the last plug will go into the splitter. So it's pretty straightforward. I mean, you really can't really do it wrong, but we'll walk through every step as we do it. And this is again what comes in the box. So next we're going to go ahead and install it on the bike. Alright, so first thing you want to do is remove the side body panel. Again, each bike's a little different where the ECU is depending on what bike it has. If you're not sure where the ECU is, generally just pulling off some body panels, you're going to find it. The other option is to either Google it or get the genuine service manual, which shows you everything on the bike, which is always a good thing to have, but fundamentally it's not very hard to find the ECU. It's usually located somewhere around here under the seat. On the Grom it happens to be right here. So obviously you take the body panels off to access the ECU, and you literally are going to push a button and then pull the pins off. That's it. Plug it in. That's it, done. Okay, put it all back together. So basically, now you've got the ECU installed. Now all that's left on as far as the Mini5 is your Blink module. Now of course, if you weren't running the AF1, then you would just plug in the Blink module, click it in, put this up, and very important, they say with the Blink module, the farther forward and high you can go to have it closer to where your phone is, the better signal you're going to get. And also, the wire that comes out of the bottom of them, make sure it's facing down, especially not up, so that water, in case you go through a rainstorm, you don't want to get water in there. If you run it facing the wire facing down, then water won't get up inside that. So this would be if you didn't do the AF1, you basically, that's it, you're done with the install. But if you're doing the AF1, which you should be, like everyone else is, then you take the 4-to-1 splitter, you put that into here, click it, now you've got 4 more connectors. One goes to the Blink, and then the other one's going to go to the wideband. So for the SF, you can actually take the OEM boot that came off the stock ECU and stretch it, and it'll actually fit over the aRacer. You want the flat part of the aRacer to go against the bracket, so it'll slide right back into position and mount up just like the stock one did. Obviously it's larger, but that boot stretches pretty well, it doesn't rip, so pretty impressive. And obviously you run the wires this way to get that out of the way, and then the Blink again, you want the Blink to go forward and down, so we're going to mount it like right there. Alright, next step you want to do is find your O2 sensor bung on your exhaust. Ours is located here. If you don't have one, obviously you're going to have to get one welded onto it, but most of the exhausts these days are coming with them. So you run the wideband sensor to here, and then you run it up behind here, tuck up out of the way, and get it up into your empty box under here, wherever you've got room. But the key is to get the plug up underneath your seat out of the way. So what we did is we actually went and started here and ran the sensor down behind all this stuff, because the sensor is a little bit smaller than the end where the plug is. So it makes it a little bit easier. Biggest thing is when you are tightening down that sensor, your cord's going to twist, so make sure you twist the other end in the same direction so that this thing doesn't get all, because you could literally, this thing spins about, I don't know, about 10 times before it finished thread. So if you don't spin the cord with it and the plug at the other end, you could potentially damage the wires. So just make sure as you're tightening it into your exhaust, you also spin the cable. Quick note, if your bike has to have a bung welded on it, make sure that it's angled up and make sure you have clearance. So mark it on your header first with a Sharpie, and when you bring it to the welder, he'll know where to mount it. The last thing you want is him mounting it underneath here, pointing straight into the motor, and you can't even install it. So make sure the sensor is not mounted angled down like this, because you'll get condensation in it, which will ruin the sensor. So it needs to be mounted at an angle up like this. Show you back here a little bit. See how that's mounted up? Because when the exhaust cools down, you get condensation in there. Condensation will ruin your sensor. They're not warranted, so don't mount the sensor facing sideways or down. Very important. Alright, so what you will have left now on the AF1 is all these here. And everything is pretty self-explanatory. You can only plug everything in one way, except for this. Some of you might be wondering, well, what's this for? Because that also plugs into here. You don't use this. This would be for if you're using a DG1 gauge only without the ECU. So don't use that. Everything else literally can only plug into one plug. Everything is plug and play. This goes to the O2 sensor. This plugs into the unit here. This plugs into the unit here, and this end goes to your 4-to-1. But again, you really can only do this one way. So as long as you're not using this, then everything else is going to be pretty self-explanatory. The diagram that comes with it, to me, is confusing as hell. So just follow what we just showed you here in the video. It'll make it a lot easier. Discard that and just plug everything else here the only way it can be plugged in. Alright, we're going to give you a quick rundown what everything looks like plugged in. So again, this goes to the harness for the wideband. This is your power wire. Now we did this because we're just like that. We like safety first, so we just did a little inline fuse. Super easy. You can get these on Amazon, just little butt connectors that have a blade on it, and you just throw a fuse in there. That's going to go to your battery. That's going to go to your ground for your battery. This is going to go to your wideband. That plugs into there. This, now you're going to go, well, what goes in there? That's if you had a DG1, the AF gauge. If you don't, just put a little piece of electric tape over it, keep water out of it. And then the last plug is going to go to your Mini5. Well, actually it's going to go into your 4-to-1 splitter, which then goes to your Mini5. So again, this may look a little daunting on video, but doing it, I mean, you really, everything can only be plugged in one way. So again, you'll just have this one spare one left over. Nothing can plug into that unless you bought a DG1 gauge. So again, just put a little piece of electric tape over it, but everything else can only plug in one way. And just be smart and run a fuse on that if you want to make sure that there's no issues, just in case. It's always best to run fuses anytime you're running a live wire directly off your battery. Alrighty, and here's what we've got. So the ECU is there. The blink module, took a little piece of 3M double-sided tape, stuck it in there. That way it's up, out of the way, tucked up underneath, high, forward, wire facing down. Wire runs down there. And all things considered of how much cabling there is, actually came out not too bad, shoving it all in there. So you got the AF1 module there, our little makeshift fuse right there in the back, going to the power, ground. We ran some of the extra cabling outside here because we were running out of room in here. Obviously you need to be able to put your seat down in there. And that concludes the installation. So part 2 is done, and next will be part 3 where we actually show you how everything works in the app and all that good stuff. So take a second real quick, click the subscribe button, click the bell next to it to get notified when we make our next videos. Please leave a comment. Tell us what you think so far. Tell us what you think of this product if you already have it. Give us some input, future videos, all that good stuff. And of course, be sure to check out our website at HardRacing.com, Instagram, Facebook, the forums. We're here to help. Anything we can do to help you guys out, just let us know.